Logan Paul is suing me for CryptoZoo only a year after he thanked me for it. Rather than pay back his victims fully, he's hired 5 lawyers to sue me, which he hopes will stop me from exposing him again.
So during the Super Bowl this year, Logan Paul put $1 million on the Patriots, live in front of everybody on a crypto prediction market called Polymarket. Enormous flex, very on brand, except crypto investigators went and looked at the wallet the way crypto investigators do, and the account didn't hold the money. The bet wasn't real. It was a screenshot of a bet, and ZachXBT, who's probably the most respected independent on-chain investigator working, called it yet another Logan Paul scam. And it's the yet another doing the work in that sentence, not scam, yet another, like it's weather, like it's just a thing that happens on a Sunday. Nobody was shocked. Nobody did a follow-up. It just sort of dissolved into the timeline. And to understand how a man gets to yet another, you have to go back to December 2022 and a guy who makes videos in a dark room about people stealing money. Coffeezilla, real name Steven Findyson, investigates financial fraud in the influencer and crypto world. That's the whole channel. In December 2022, he put out a 3-part series called Investigating Logan Paul's Biggest Scam. Between them, those 3 videos have about 26 million views. This wasn't a niche thing that a few crypto people saw. This was one of the biggest stories on the platform that winter.
Today, we're investigating Logan Paul's CryptoZoo, a blockchain game that made millions but never worked. Some of you guys think you know the story, but it goes so much deeper. I've uncovered sociopaths, billionaires, fake orphans. Did I mention fake orphans? And of course, at the center of it, we have Logan Paul himself, who has abandoned this thing, leaving thousands of fake orphans in his wake. Wait a second. Thousands of victims in his wake.
And the word scam sitting in all 3 titles is the entire reason we're here. Because 18 months later, Logan Paul decided that word was defamatory and sued him for it. And it's worth knowing what kind of channel that is because it changes how the lawsuit reads. Coffeezilla isn't a commentary guy reacting to drama. He reads filings. He traces wallets. He turns up to court dates. When he says a number, the number usually has a document behind it. That's the whole reason the videos land, and as it turns out, it's also the reason a judge would later say his opinions weren't protected the way a normal YouTuber's would be. But we'll get there. Before the lawsuit, what was actually being described? CryptoZoo 2021. You buy NFT eggs, they hatch into digital animals, you breed the animals, the rarer ones earn you a token called $Zoo. It sold fast, and then the game never came out, not delayed, never. People were left holding eggs for a zoo that did not exist.
Now it's my turn. You know, I'm excited to launch my game.
You keep using and you just did it again. You keep using a word there, game. You're not using like a project. It's a game.
It's a game. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
Leaked messages pointed to a stealth launch of the Zoo token, where insiders got in quietly at a low price before the public push moved it. A class action followed in February 2023. Paul's position then and now is that he got played by 2 of the people advising the project. One was Eddie Ibanez, who was presented as the lead developer and who allegedly claimed he'd gone to MIT and worked in intelligence and had done neither. The other went by Crypto King Online. Paul says both were selling tokens for themselves while he wasn't, and that he personally lost over $1 million on it. And that might be true. Genuinely, it's not a stupid defense, and I don't think you have to believe Logan Paul woke up one morning intending to rob children to also believe what comes next. Because whether he was the architect or the mark, the people who bought eggs were still holding eggs. Now, to be clear, there was a stretch where this looked like it was going to go the other way. In January 2023, after the series went up, Logan Paul walked it back. He pulled a video he'd made threatening to sue, he apologized, and he said he was going to make the people who lost money whole.
For one, Logan apologizes to me.
I called him, I apologized. My initial response to his series was that of fire and ego.
Not only that, Logan also pledges a $1.3 million refund plan for people who bought his NFTs.
I am personally committing 1,000 ETH to this, which is about $1.3 million.
In addition to that, he also promises to finish CryptoZoo, which was left abandoned.
And at the time, honestly, that read as the story ending well. Guy gets caught, guy owns it, guy fixes it, It happens rarely enough that when it does, you want to believe it. January 2024, a full year later. Logan Paul announces a $2.3 million buyback, 0.1 ETH for every qualifying NFT. And on paper, that's a man doing the right thing late, eating the loss, clearing the books. Then you read it. To take the refund, you had to sign away your right to sue him, any claim you had or might ever have, including joining the class action that already existed, gone, in exchange for the refund. You had 1 month to decide, and the buyback covered base eggs and animal NFTs. It did not cover the Zoo token, and the lawyers running the class action said their data showed Zoo was where nearly all the money actually went. So, a refund that skips the part where most of the losses were, that requires you to give up your legal rights to accept it with a 30-day window arriving a year late. That was the making it right. And this wasn't the first one either. It wasn't even the first one Coffeezilla made a video about. Back in July 2021, months before CryptoZoo existed, there was a meme coin called Dink Doink, which Logan Paul promoted to his audience without mentioning that he was involved in creating it. Investigators tracing the chain found a wallet that bought in before his promotion, sold shortly after, and routed $100,000 to a wallet publicly tied to him.
He presents himself as like an interested but unaffiliated investor in this coin, saying this is the dumbest, most ridiculous coin I've ever seen, and that's why I'm all in. But it turns out this is incredibly misleading because Logan Paul is far from just a guy who found out about this coin like anyone else. Because in a podcast with the Dink Doink CEO, he said that Logan Paul created the thing.
That video is from 2021. The lawsuit is from 2024, which means by the time Logan Paul decided Coffeezilla was defaming him, Coffeezilla had already been covering him for 3 years across multiple projects, and nobody had sued anybody. It's a smaller story, and it never really broke containment. But it's the same shape as everything after it. A thing gets promoted to an audience that trusts him. The audience takes the position, and the position doesn't work out for them. And then there's the card. In 2022, Logan Paul put his Pikachu Illustrator, one of the rarest Pokemon cards that exists, onto a platform called Liquid Marketplace. The idea was fractional ownership. You buy a token, you own a slice of the card, you're in on it with him. About 5.4% of it sold, roughly $270,000 worth, to ordinary buyers. And then the platform went dark. Now, and I want to be precise here because it matters, Logan Paul is not a defendant in what came next. In June 2024, the Ontario Securities Commission alleged that Liquid Marketplace was running a multi-layered fraud, that its executives moved around $3 million of investor money for personal use, and that buyers had been falsely told their tokens were actual legal ownership of the collectibles. That is an allegation against the platform and the people running it, not against him. What he was the most visible person promoting it and the seller of the thing it was built around, and he says he paid a buyout to the platform in May 2024 that was meant to be distributed to the fractional owners, which brings us to February this year. On the 15th of February 2026, 1 week after the fake bet, the Pikachu Illustrator sold for $16,492,000. Record for a trading card. The buyer was Anthony Scaramucci's son. The fractional owners had been bought out in May 2024, long before that number existed. So the people who were invited to own a piece of the card owned a piece of the card right up until the point where owning a piece of the card became worth something. And then there's Prime, which he launched with KSI in 2022. Third-party testing found what's been called forever chemicals in the grape flavor, and there's an active class action over that one. But there was a second case about caffeine content, and that one was thrown out, dismissed with prejudice, August 2025. He won it outright. And I'm putting that in because if I only tell you the parts that make the argument work, then I'm doing the exact thing the lawsuit accuses Coffeezilla of doing. He won that case. It should be in the video. UK sales were down about 50% year on year by April 2025, according to Nielsen, which is one region and 1 year, so make of it what you like. So on the 27th of June, 2024, Logan Paul sued him, Stephen Findyson and Coffee Break Productions, for defamation in the Western District of Texas in front of Judge Orlando Garcia. Damages in excess of $75,000 plus punitive. The subject of the investigation sued the investigator. That's the sentence.
Currently, Logan is fighting the victims of CryptoZoo in court, and now he's fighting the journalist who exposed him in the first place. Personally, I believe Logan has learned nothing from this except how to silence people with the law. But I won't be silenced because Logan's lawsuit makes no sense.
And here's where I have to be fair again, because this next part did not go Coffeezilla's way. He tried to get the case thrown out early, arguing the word scam was opinion and protected. And in March 2025, Magistrate Judge Henry Bemperad said no. He found that scam coming from someone whose entire brand is being a crypto investigator would land with an objectively reasonable viewer as a statement of fact, not a guy giving his take. And he found the disclaimers Coffeezilla had weren't prominent enough because they sat in the video description where you'd only see them if you clicked to expand it, which is a genuinely interesting ruling if you make videos like this for a living. It's basically the more credible you are, the less protected your opinions are. A guy shouting scam in a reaction video with a red arrow on the thumbnail is fine because nobody takes him literally. Do the research, build the reputation, become the person people believe. And now the same word is a factual claim you have to defend in court. I don't think that's an insane ruling legally. I do think it's a slightly terrifying one because the incentive it creates is to be less rigorous, not more. So the case went forward. Trial got set for May the 4th, 2026. Months of court-ordered mediation. And along the way, a magistrate blocked Paul from pushing the blame onto certain co-founders, which narrowed what he could actually argue, which matters because I was deceived by my advisors was the entire defense. And that's the record. A meme coin he promoted without saying he was part of it. A game that never launched. A refund that skipped the token where the money went and asked you to sign away your right to sue to collect it. A platform that went dark with people's money inside it. A card those people owned a slice of. Sold for $16.5 million after they'd been cashed out. And a defamation case against the one person who kept writing it all down. Coffeezilla never said Logan Paul woke up wanting to hurt anyone. He said the word scam. And the argument of the last 4 years has been about whether that word was fair. And the strange thing about the lawsuit is what it was actually asking for. Not money. $75,000 is nothing to him. What it wanted was a ruling, a piece of paper saying the word was false that he could point at forever. You don't need that piece of paper if the record clears you. You need it when the record doesn't. I don't think a court was ever going to answer this one. ZachXBT already did it in 2 words on a Sunday about a bet that didn't exist and nobody even blinked. Yet another. That's the part that gets me. Not that it happened, that nobody was surprised. So here's what I want to know. Do you think the lawsuit was a man who genuinely believed he'd been lied about? Or was the point always just to make it expensive to keep talking about him? Drop a comment, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.